Welcome everybody to Real Wreckers,
where we are all things movie,
all things TV,
all things nerd.
Ladies and gentlemen,
today we have something very special in mind. First of all, we have a special guest star.
A returning special guest star. Welcome back, Lexi.
Hello,
Yep.
hello. It is good to be back.
Exactly.
I'm excited.
And first and foremost, I think we have to congratulate you because you just graduated.
I did, yes. I did just graduate.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Got my associates in psychology. Very
Awesome.
nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So with that little congratulations out of the way, welcome to Real Wreckers. Welcome back. Today we have something real special because we have something I've been wanting to do for a while. We have made OCs, which for those of you who don't know are original characters based in our favorite franchises.
Characters, ideas, artistic interpretations, psychoanalyzing, and world building.
Basically, if Disney, Funimation, if anyone wants to get in contact with us to get these rights, we are more than willing to sell them.
So
We got some gold mines here, let me tell you.
we got some polls to look at also.
Exactly. From our lovely followers on our Instagram, we're going to get these polls right out of the way real quick because we're going to go into long descriptions about our OCs.
And why we love the universe that we want to place them in.
Exactly. So, first of all, our first poll is, what is your favorite fictional world or universe? What was your Lexi, what is your favorite fictional world or universe?
So I'm going to have to go with One Piece.
One Piece is your favorite?
Yeah, I think the creator, Ichiro Oda, definitely has the best creativity of any author or creator I've ever seen. The way that he builds his world and keeps every country and person relevant to the current story is just amazing. It really is.
Cool. Dalton?
For me, actually, aside from the one that I'm going to talk about later on, my favorite overall universe, right?
Yeah. Favorite universe, world, anything like
This is
that.
actually a very connected one. Is the Samurai Jack universe. Now, the thing is, this universe is actually extremely stretched because the band Gorillaz and the show Powerpuff Girls exist in the same points in time as it, or the same universe. Samurai Jack takes place way in the future. The city of Townsville is in Samurai Jack, but it's post-apocalyptic because it's so far in the future. Gorillaz takes place a little bit before Powerpuff Girls. Right?
Didn't know that. That's really interesting.
Because the creators are all friends, so they reference each other constantly. And they actually include the real locations. And even a Powerpuff Girls character became a Gorillaz band member for a while.
Which one?
Ace, the leader of the Gangrene Gang. Yeah. I'd like to credit my older sister for helping me to realize that.
I really wished the answer was going to be Mojo Jojo or whatever it's called.
Mojo Jojo.
Mojo Jojo.
They're gorillas. We've seen monkeys, and they're owned by Kong Studios. So there's always a chance for some sort of an ape or primate.
Yes. Okay, so my favorite fictional world franchise, it's between two. It definitely is between Star Wars, but I have to go with the Wizarding World because the Wizarding World, there's just so many possibilities with where you can take that.
The Wizarding World of Harry Potter?
Exactly.
I was thinking Wizard 101. I'm sorry.
Exactly. We've seen a lot of the Harry Potter world. We're seeing a lot of the Fantastic Beasts past. I want to go into the future. I want to see modern day sort of Wizarding World.
Wait, I thought the Harry Potter movies took place in the early 2000s, which was supposed to be the present, at its time.
Technically, they took place in the 90s.
I thought it was late 90s, early 2000s.
Technically, they took place in the 90s and then ended in the 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah. So with that said, we do have Mama Chaos, who did answer this poll.
My mom.
Exactly.
Shout out to my mom.
She simply replied, "The Shire," and yeah, I can see that.
The Shire?
Yeah, the Shire from Lord of the Rings, just a sort of lazy, laid-back sort of world where you can just put your feet up and just have a mead.
That would be really comfortable
smoke
if I didn't have
bottom leaf.
if I didn't have Gandalf syndrome.
What's Gandalf saying?
Knocking my head on the doorway.
Oh, but every time you would have to do that, you would have to scream, "Ho!"
Yeah, I could not pass.
Exactly. So our second poll is, which fictional character do you most identify with?
Well, that's hard. That's really difficult.
I went deep with this one. I'm not gonna lie.
I went kind of deep, but also just kind of picking favorites.
All right. So which one do you identify with? The most?
Samurai Jack.
Oh my god.
Long spanning journey. Eventually, he gets a girlfriend. That's it. That's it.
You relate a lot with his time travel story.
50 years and I haven't aged,
I'm pretty sure that's just Tom Cruise.
Fighting demons,
Yeah, that's just Tom Cruise.
I'm not much
Fighting
of a plane-
demons, becoming demons.
I'm not much of a plane jumper. Or a plane climber. Did he climb a plane in Mission Impossible?
Yeah, he did in like Rogue Nation, I think it was.
I climb buildings. It's different.
Yeah. Lexi, who do you most identify with?
So I highly doubt you would know this, but Chuya from Bungo Stray Dogs.
We're going right to Google. Chuya?
Yeah.
Chuya, you said it was?
Yeah,
Chuya.
Chu-
no, Chuya is Y-A.
Chuya.
Nope.
Chuya? Shiwa.
Shu-
Jojo Shiwa.
Two U's Y-A.
Two U's. Chu-Y-A.
Bless you.
This one?
Yeah, and then Bungo Stray Dogs.
Bungo Stray Dog.
That's an actual poet.
That is the Japanese poet.
There you go.
Stray
Bungo
Dogs.
Stray Dogs. All right. Interesting. Why do you relate to him? Her?
It's a him.
Schlee Schlim Schlur,
Okay.
actually.
It's a him.
Okay.
Basically a difficult past, overcoming a bunch of trauma and stuff like that, and going through a redemption arc.
Mhm.
Currently going through a redemption arc. And I feel like I just really related to him while watching the series go on. He's a really awesome character. Watch the show; it's really good. But yeah, I think I really relate to him in a lot of different ways.
Interesting.
And the show is called
Bungo Stray Dogs.
Noted.
Bungo Stray Dogs.
I think you can find it on HBO Max. I'm not sure.
You can find a lot of anime on HBO Max.
Yeah.
And
Pretty sure-
the entire Ghibli collection.
Yeah, exactly. With that said, I do think the character I relate to most, it's gonna sound like a really typical answer for me, but I can't think of anyone better. It might be Ahsoka.
Because you were casted out of your.
It was because
what?
I was Ahsoka from Clone Wars.
Oh,
Ahsoka
yeah.
from Clone Wars, from
Never
Rebels,
seen-
from Star
never
Wars, all that
seen
stuff.
Clone Wars.
Yeah. Ahsoka, I just constantly relate to her because she was very arrogant as a kid, and then as she grew older, she got more and more mature and got more and more responsible. But the more she got responsible, the more people and just life turned on her, and she's constantly trying to find her way back on the path to responsibility. But life is just constantly throwing her curveballs.
With maturing, she got antagonized a lot.
Exactly. That's like the big reason I relate to her. I relate to her more from her mature standpoint than I do from her Padawan standpoint.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, but Audrey Charlotte did answer this question.
Let's hear it.
She responded with a name that I cannot pronounce.
Let me see.
Kazuo Saki from Saki K.
Let me see. Is it
Yeah,
Psyche K?
you-
Like
Psyche?
Psyche.
Yeah, he's a
Psyche
psychic.
from Psyche K.
It's Saiki.
Psyche K.
Psyche K.
Because he's a
It's-
psychic.
It's Kazuo. His first name is Kazuo.
Just it's Psyche. Everyone calls him
Yeah.
Psyche.
She says, "The world is my oyster, but I hate seafood."
He is he's
I-
overpowered, but in a funny way, where he can hear everyone around him. He has two antennas that he has to keep on, or else his powers completely destroy. Not like Magneto. I think is it Magneto or Professor X that has to restrain himself with the head thing.
Restrain himself. No one has to restrain themselves.
Well,
It protects them, but it doesn't restrain them.
it's like an inverted thing of a protector. Instead, he has to protect everyone around him from his extreme mental powers. He just has every power in the book, basically, and pretty much just has this Raven-style monotone. I am so powerful if I act out or even get mad at anything. But he's so chill and laid back and critical of everything. It's more funny than sad. I promise.
Interesting.
It's a good watch. It's something adventures or something life of Psyche K.
Yeah, Psyche K. I'm glad you guys knew it because I don't watch that much anime.
She got me interested in it. It's funny. It's your kind of humor, actually.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've only seen a couple episodes of it.
It gets really funny as it goes on.
And our final poll is, which fictional character would you want as a best friend?
Ooh. Jinx. It's a best friend.
It's a best
That's
friend.
difficult because there's a lot that I would take.
Probably someone from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, like
Ooh,
Wilt.
Ooh.
Probably Wilt,
Probably will.
Which one's Will?
the tall basketball player.
He always seemed cool.
Yeah, he just seems like someone cool to hang out with. You know,
Yeah, he seemed really chill.
he'd let you win even if you played against him. Or
Exactly.
Eduardo. Eduardo would be like fun.
He has the sort of like
Or Cheese.
Dalton and I have two mutual friends, one from high school, one from college, that we both agree they have the same personality of they are so lovable that when they make a mistake, you can't hate them because they are so humble. I feel like that's Wilt.
Does their name start with a K or C?
Yes.
Were we in a class with them?
I'll give you a hint. One's initials are CJ, and the other one it was from college.
CJ.
CJ. With that, with
You gotta
with
text
you,
that to me because I'm bad.
with you pondering that, Lexi, who would you want as your best friend from any fictional
So-
franchise?
So I have two options. I have one that is an actual human being, and then one that is like an animal.
Interesting. Do it.
So I think I'm gonna go with the animal. I think I'm gonna go with Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon.
Yes. Yes.
I feel like he would be like the best friend that any possible person could ever have.
Interesting. So
Big
who's-
dog. Just a big dog
just
with
big-
wings.
Actually, no. He's based on a cat.
He is based on a cat.
Oh, yeah,
He's
he-
based on one of the creators' cats.
Yeah.
Has more
flipping
cat
out.
mannerisms too. You're right.
So who's the human or who's the person?
So the person would be the doctor.
The doc. Oh yeah.
I would love to have the doctor as my best friend.
Exactly.
It would be really interesting.
Be such like having a partier friend though, you know, where they're just constantly like every time you're gonna hang out with them, you need energy. Every time.
True.
True, but like I feel like I would gain energy just by being around them, so I would be fine.
Like they charge your social battery.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
That's usually people I'm friends with. I'm very friends with
Who would you-
extroverted people.
Now, which doctor would you want to be best friends with? That's the question.
That's a good question.
Because
I would-
you? Because I don't think anyone would want to be friends with the sixth Doctor.
No.
I think on 3 we can all say. I think we all have an agreement.
Okay,
For a new doctor at least.
for a new doctor.
the new
Doctor.
Not
generation?
for a not classic doctor.
Okay,
then
so
not
for one of the newer doctors. Okay,
Everything after 9.
3, 2, 1. Matt Smith.
Tenet.
Tenet.
I want to go Matt Smith.
Matt Smith would make me cry.
Matt Smith would just be fun to hang out with.
Fun,
he
but-
would, but
Tenet for me.
Tenet.
I feel like he knows like the exact places to have the most fun. Tenet is the artistic one where you want to go through all of the emotional levels. Smith, you just go and you find a planet that is basically one big playground.
True. I think I'm still gonna stick with Tenet though.
True.
Yeah. For me, Tenet, I think it's because my family was watching it at the time. I always imagined him as like someone who would be featured on Top Gear. Not David Tennant himself,
yeah.
but David Tennant's doctor.
Oh yeah.
Would be like someone who would accidentally like time chart. They would make a DeLorean. He would try to make his own custom DeLorean. Be like, this old 80s car sucks. I want it to have a V8 and I want it to go back in time every time the wheels go backwards.
Actually, the
Like,
more you think about it, that sounds like something Matt Smith's doctor would do.
That sounds like something from like Mad.
I feel
Honestly.
like Matt Smith's one would just blow up a car.
He would just blow up a car just for the fun of it.
He would find like
Well,
a reverse button for it. Like a reverse time, so they would just keep crashing on repeat.
For me, like a fictional best friend, it's hard to say because every single person that I'm thinking of right now, I would think, oh, they would be amazing to be their best friend. But the more I think about it, I'm like, no, all of their best friends die. Like, that's a tough one.
You'd want to be like the last one left for them, you know?
Exactly.
The last
Like
one that just doesn't die.
initially, I'm thinking, oh, I want to be Dean Winchester's best friend.
No. Right out of the gate, no. No, thank you.
You don't want to be Dean Winchester's best friend.
I'll be good friends with him, but not best friends with
I
him.
want to be best friends with him.
Me and Dean would chill and watch anime and like have a couple drinks, but I think that's about
I want to be rocking out to classic rock in the Impala with Dean.
it.
Like, I feel like half of my personality is just Dean Winchester.
I can see that.
If I had nothing to lose, I would want Saul Goodman to be my lawyer.
It's all good, man.
It's all good, man.
You know they're doing a marathon of all the Breaking Bad episodes leading up to the final season, right?
Of Better Call Saul?
Yeah.
No way.
I think it's like tomorrow.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm doing that.
It's gonna be good.
That's my rewatch right there.
Never
Yeah.
seen Better Call Saul.
Have you seen Breaking Bad?
Yes.
Have you seen El Camino?
No.
Watch
Watch El Camino. Watch
Yeah.
El Camino. El Camino's really good.
and then Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll
But
add
that-
that to my list.
With that said, Moss' friend,
My older sister.
yep, she answered that she would want Bimo from Adventure Time or Totoro.
Ace answer. I actually was gonna say
That's
Totoro.
really good.
I was
Bimo was I immediately like, oh, that's a good answer.
Yeah, that is a good answer.
I would want Totoro or Porco Rosso, which is actually next up on your list for the Ghibli watch.
Well, if we're talking about Studio Ghibli best friends, I would just want one of the big wolves from Princess Mononoke.
They would gnaw off your ear as part of a game, like just out of play, and then they wouldn't apologize.
It's sad that I would be like, oh, I forgive you though.
In the
I forgive you, big doggo.
Just growl at you and walk away. You're not part of the forest.
Yeah. So with that out of the way, before we get into our own personal OCs, we're going to give like a 5-minute segment just so that if anyone wants to call in, let us just share any of their OCs, because I know a lot of people have big imaginations. Just in case any of you want to call in with your own original character, you can reach us at 215-619-7366. Again, that is 215-619-7366. We're just gonna leave like a little time gap just so that anyone who wants to call in can call in, and we can just like brainstorm off of each other for their original characters. You know. So with that said,
Am I sending the bat signal?
send the bat signal.
Sending the bat signal.
Send the bat signal on the I was about to say Instagram, but I run the Instagram. Send the bat signal on the Snapchats or wherever.
Oh, I was saying the bat signal for a certain someone. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
Sweet.
Send the bat signal any way you want.
We got the bat. But this isn't our Batman episode. Anyway, I don't think anyone from DC I would want to be my friend, honestly.
Really?
I'm just
not
thinking,
even Shazam?
No.
when it comes to like,
Flash.
dude, when it comes to how much tragedy they endure, I don't think I would want to just add to their tragedy. I feel like I would accidentally become like a collateral damage to them.
Green Lantern?
Dude, that's like a whole space war coming after me.
Yeah.
If I'm their friend, they're gonna come after me. Like I'm gonna be used as like fodder or like a hostage.
I was about to say John Constantine, but then I realized that would be the worst.
Clark Kent. Clark Kent is the safest thing you could possibly.
No,
do.
you can't.
No.
Have you seen Injustice?
No, Clark Kent, not Superman. Just as long as you don't know he's Superman.
I don't care, because if you work at the Daily Planet, Injustice, everyone got blown up.
Oh yeah, I guess if you work, never mind. If you work it where, yeah, never mind. Even
I feel like
defense
your
Clark-
safest bet would be like a
Alfred.
godlike being.
Alfred's relative, because
Alfred's relative. No, Alfred's relative was, well, I was about to reference Batman and Robin, because originally Batgirl in Batman and Robin was Alfred's niece.
is the phone yellow or red on your end?
The phone is like in terms of buttons.
Yeah, it's off.
The phone is off at the moment.
Okay,
Just the moment anyone calls, it goes yellow.
gotcha.
Exactly. So, like, what? Like, I'm trying to think of anyone from DC who would be a good exception.
Yeah, people from DC to be safe friends with. Maybe someone on Themyscira. Honestly, if you're just like a Themysciran person and you just knew, if you knew Diana, as long as you don't like leave the island, even though the island gets purged at some points, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember
Like,
Justice League?
brutally.
Like Justice League, there was like an entire battle where the Amazons just got decimated.
You're right. You're right. I'm not sure if there's a safe
There
spot.
is no safe bet
I
for.
feel like in Marvel, there's some safer
There's a
places.
lot of safer people in Marvel than there
Exactly.
are in DC.
At least just safer places.
Or I could just go super safe and just say I would want Homelander as my best friend. No one would mess with me.
You know, Maybe. I don't know what friend it would be though. Would you be like a coworker? Like
It would be like the sort of friend that you constantly have people telling you that they're a bad influence, but you spend too much time with them and are just denying everything. Like, no, they're not like that. They're just, you don't know them like I do. I mean,
Getcha.
like, I know he's killed, like, God knows how many people, but have a beer with him sometime. Go to a bar, play some pool with him. You'll see.
You can feel safe with murderers.
Exactly. I mean, how do you think serial killers happen? You feel safe with them.
Yep.
And then it happens. This got dark as we are waiting.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Can you try lifting and hanging the phone?
Lifting and hanging the phone?
Yeah, like lift and hang
Pick it up and hang it up.
Yeah.
Pick it up.
Kids our age these days, they
Yeah,
don't know.
They
They don't know what a
landlines.
phone is.
It's sad that that's actually true. I picked up
That is
picked,
true.
I
I
picked
mean-
the phone, hung up, and
I'd say
I
generally
see a light beeping.
a light beeping.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant like a faint, like a very gentle.
No, I
soft
see
beep.
like a red light beeping on the phone itself.
Is that supposed to happen?
I honestly do not know.
Maybe someone left a message from like earlier or something.
Wow. I'm very tempted to see if that's the case.
It's probably for the sports
Yeah.
show that was playing earlier.
So, with that said, we got the 5 minutes out of the way. We're at around 8:20. So,
Yeah. We're expecting a call in right now. Just the line gets busy as soon as we need it. We literally like pre-tested it earlier
Yeah,
too.
so while whoever's on the other end is trying to get a hold of us, let's just start off. Let's just start off our OCs. Let's just get the descriptions out of the way.
Just starting it off.
We'll just start it off. And if someone calls in, stop the description, let them speak, and then continue. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. Who wants to go first? Because I think I have the longest.
I
I
think
think you do have
I-
the longest.
Yeah.
I think I could sum up mine. I think.
All right. So
Like give me some ambience going.
let's get some ambience.
Ambience.
Some of that ambience going.
ambiance, you know?
Yeah. Some of that. Ooh.
If you can't tell already where my character falls.
Exactly.
Now for mine, it's a Mandalorian. Like,
Exactly.
I you
There
know,
were, I knew that was going to be the case with you.
I love me some Star Wars. It's pretty much one of my top favorite universes.
I have literally asked you if you wanted to be a Jedi or a Sith, which would you choose? And you said Mandalorian.
What?
Well, there's a gray area there. You can be two, just not a Sith and a Jedi. Or you can't be a Sith and a Jedi. You can be a Mandalorian and a Sith, or a Mandalorian.
Tell that to Luke.
What? Oh, well, you see, this is why he fell down into a pit of despair and failed his next class. Sorry, I'm just admitting. He, like, violently tried to continue the Jedi Order as it was instead of restarting it. With...
Yeah.
Is this spoilers? It's been out long enough, right?
I mean, you're sitting next to someone who hasn't seen any of The Mandalorian.
It's okay.
Well, you
I
said-
probably will not remember it.
I was gonna say, well, you said the thing.
I said the thing, but I didn't go into details about the thing.
Yeah, but, like, you're opening up a can of worms.
I'm
You're
opening
throwing
up a
the
can of worms and I'm closing it.
You're throwing the worms at
Continue
me.
with your description.
With my description, my Mandalorian character, Rael Ovarn,
Ooh.
of the clan Muriel. The clan Muriel might not be very familiar to many because it's a pretty niche thing, hasn't really been adapted. But you might know Jango Fett, one of the anti-hero of Episode 2. He actually came as a foundling and an orphan to the pretty much his adopted father, Jaster Muriel. Jaster Muriel was one of the original Mandalorians, as they were called. And pretty much the original Mandalorians were the last of the classic warriors, like the warriors race.
From what I understand, you're getting a lot of this from Legends.
Legends and the hunting storyline. I figure.
To be fair,
Hunting.
Legends
I think it's called
Legends
Hunting,
is
excuse
more expanded, and in my opinion, in terms of Jango Fett's backstory,
This is the
Legends is
part-
better.
This is something from Legends that is slowly being brought into canon.
Thank you, Dave Filoni.
Thank you, Dave Filoni. take the wheel from him, give him the big captain's wheel, but give a lot of other directors, some cannons.
Dave Filoni is starting to become what George Lucas should have been. Like he is
After
the big
the original trilogy.
He is the big. Dave Filoni is the big man, but he has a lot of people to say, no, you can't do that. Let us take the reins. Let us share a bit of the load.
Dave Filoni, I would say, is the branches that connect two very large trees. You know when two trees grow together and they eventually are one big curled tree?
Exactly.
George Lucas is the roots of both.
Yep.
But Dave Filoni pretty much branches it and creates the thing that we see like loudly.
And from that
George
tree,
is the roots that are very deep.
and from that tree, you have Jon Favreau, you have Robert Rodriguez, you have Bryce Dallas Howard, just all making fantastic episodes.
And, well, even Robert Rodriguez for his episode, I mean, it spawned back in my favorite character ever in Mandalorian. Pretty much long-time favorite character. I'd say,
made me a fan of your favorite character.
yeah, I mean, honestly, he went from a toy to the coolest thing ever. But for my character, Rael Ovarn, he fought on Concord Dawn, the moon of Mandalore.
Yes.
He's originally from Mandalore, right when it exiled Death Watch, and when Mandalore became a neutral territory. While he is descended from the old age civil war between Mandalorian and Jedi. So generations behind, his family was hunted by Jedi. After his family on a neutral Mandalore was killed in civil wars by Death Watch. After they splintered, they were believed to have died out on the moon. They came and committed multiple attacks on Mandalore. At this point, he continued on Clan Fett, which was of Clan Mariel.
Yeah.
He is at the time of Clan Mariel. He's like the last tip of it besides Jango Fett. He would be probably a little bit older than him at this point. Because Clan Fett is the continuation of it. He also holds the same Mythosaur sigil, but his is slightly altered because Jango's was a toothed Mandalore skull. The one that we see, like the Watch has.
Yeah.
Theirs is a what's his name? I don't know how to describe.
It's like a Mandalore visor, but it's in the shape of a mythosaur.
Yeah, it's a worn Mythosaur skull, not a skull.
How would your characters like mythosaur be designed?
It would be similar to it, but it wouldn't have the split down the middle because it's pre-Splinter.
Interesting.
Because Death Watch was the splinter of the Last Warriors, the original Mandalorians, where Jango and Boba come from. Master Mariel led those what were they called?
The Children of the Watch?
No, that's a different clan. The Rangers. The Rangers he would become one of the Rangers of Concord Dawn who hunt down Death Watch and stop them from trying to purge a neutral Mandalore. The true Mandalorians are the last real warriors, not terrorists. Death Watch are terrorists.
Yeah.
When those civil wars occurred, it splintered off, and groups like Death Watch ravaged and created the idea that they are merciless mercenaries. My character will be the last of pretty much Rangers who try to defend what real Mandalorians were. He would go on to pretty much carry on. He would be one of the last people to have ever seen a mythosaur.
I would be very interested in seeing this sort of thing because we've only seen in Star Wars, we've only seen the extremist side of Death Watch and we've seen the pacifist side of the new Mandalorians. We haven't seen a true middle ground yet, in-depth middle ground, and I really want to see that.
And he, in his prime, would have been a ranger, who defended an agricultural moon. He would have been a lone defender off from Ravagers, essentially, because at this point, Death Watch, they burned down villages.
Yeah.
They suicide bombed a city. They committed an entire attack led by a Sith, an ex-Sith, but still a crime lord. Well, he was kind of a gray Sith at that point.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
A dark Jedi at that point.
Yeah, but he wasn't of the light still. Maul. We're talking about Maul, right?
Yeah, but Ventress was a dark Jedi.
Yeah. Pretty much, though, they weren't violently religious like the Watch. What's confusing, I think that should really, I feel like we should have gotten a hard cut. The Watch is not a splinter of Death Watch because it's not a splinter of a splinter. It is a reversion, like they revert as far back as possible religiously. They don't revert to the religion of old because it wasn't religious of old. They were warriors of old, but they were honorable warriors of old. Thousands of years ago when Mandalorian hunted Jedi. Essentially, later on in his arc, he would hunt down the Jedi who, in this story, were misled. They were led on by an assault by Tor Vizsla through manipulation. Ooh, that was perfectly timed. Sorry. But yeah,
Getting some Vizslas in here there.
For this character, when we would see him around the time of the invasion of Mandalore, when Maul's Death Watch would attack, he would be the old hunter. I would want to have his character pretty much be like he has an old hunter with an old hunting dog. Mm-hmm. He would defend the last like old agricultural corner of Concord Dawn that Death Watch just can't touch because he has the split end rifle that like Din Djarin has. Yeah. But his is it's a cycler, but it has the pronged end, and he's just picking them off one by one. He's pretty much defending the last outpost.
He's basically just like a farmer with a sniper rifle.
Have you ever heard the story of the Union soldier who never received? He held down a fort 20 years after the Civil War, in like the actual Civil War in America. He held a Union soldier in the South, held down his fort for 20 years, waiting for a signal. Just waiting for a signal. And he didn't know until brick roads were laid down nearby. He thought they were building another war fortress. He never let anything past.
So your character would be based off this actual guy.
It would be similar to it because it would be post of a civil war, but on a righteous side, not on like the evil side. And when I say evil, I mean destroying the culture, wiping out the neutrality, because he wouldn't hunt down innocents. He would be honorable. He wouldn't be religious, and he wouldn't be politically manipulative. He would try to be the last like staple of pretty much what Jango Fett was up until he worked for anyone who would pay him.
I feel like we could get like a good comic series off of this guy.
Like the Sons of Jaster.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my character. He's a Mandalorian of the last of the true Mandalorians. And it would be a story of him trying to hold out, not turning to dirty, like blood money, like Jango did. Because otherwise, Jango has been my favorite Mandalorian, even a little bit over Boba for the most part, because
really
he is a Mandalorian. Like Boba is like, yeah, like by ethnicity, I'm a Mandalorian, and by armor, but not by culture, no dedication. The helmet comes off occasionally. My father's legacy is Mandalorian, so I carry his legacy. But Jango was like, I am the last of the Mandalorians. I can't openly omit myself because Death Watch.
So with that said, like, are you done with your description? Sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Just sum it up. Rael Avarn, the last of Clan Mariel before it became Clan Fett.
All right. So with that said, like physical description wise, what would your Mandalorian? What would his armor look like?
Can you look up the concept art for Boba Fett?
Concept art for Boba Fett?
Yes. I'll be able to point out the right one because he actually had, you know how Bo-Katan has the owl helmet?
Yeah.
Boba Fett
would it be this one?
It would be a little bit closer to the one. Scroll down.
Scroll down.
Yeah.
This one?
The one with the poncho.
The one with the poncho. This one?
Yep, the old hunter. Sorry, I just wanted the full body. And his would actually go out a little bit. You see that one with the protruding visor that we're looking at? Remember when Obi-Wan was disguising himself?
Yeah.
When he had
you would want like his sort of antenna?
Yes, and it would also be a lot more decked out. Like he would have he'd have trinkets like lined across his belt. He would have a lot of like old cultural
a lot of Mandalorian like symbols like painted across his face.
Yes.
Painted across his armor, I should say.
He would have the lines, he would have the sigil, he would have kind of a bullet belt. But yeah. And he would be like the last cowboy, you know? The last true Westerner outlaw. Yeah,
I'm really getting a lot of Clint Eastwood vibes from like the concept art that you chose, like based
somewhere between that. Imagine you see that 1313 Boba right there.
1313.
Down, right? That's Boba Fett.
That's Django. Oh, that's Boba Fett. That is
Yeah.
because he's.
Right before he painted it. And you see how it's all kind of scrunched together?
So your character would be sort of scrunched together like that, but with the poncho and with the visor from like Obi-Wan's like helmet.
Yes. He would kind of be the Obi-Wan of Mandalorians, where he would be like
Ooh.
the last true loyal, not violently religious, not overtly politically radical, where he will enact violent force like Anakin did across any war. But when he did fight in the war, it was for the last true stand before it splintered into like violence, before he would never become neutral either. He would not drop his, like, he would fight for like the last true, this is like our world. The moon is also an extension of ourselves. We, like, you can't cast out our nature, you can't cast out our history, and you can't neutralize us. Like, he would, and not in a Din Djarin way either, where he would be like so dedicated to just a way of thinking.
He would just be a guy trying to defend his land, but he would have a strict ideology, but he wouldn't just go out constantly to those extremes. He would just be a guy just hanging out.
Not in a Boba way where he disregards it, and not in a Din Djarin way where he violently just has tunnel vision for it, and not in a Bo-Katan way where he tries to falsely claim his bloodlineliness. He would just want to claim like true Mandalorians, rich culture, without wiping out others.
Interesting.
Like when Native Americans thinned out around like way before the Civil War too, historically, because I think Mandalorians do like derive a lot more from Native Americans also, as like they had a lot of cultures, but when it came to colonization, aka like, you know, the Republic, they kind of just clumped them together as you're all just like savages, you're all just like bloodthirsty, when they had such a sprawling like culture line.
Interesting.
So I'd want a character that invokes that.
Wow.
Like a very politically charged one.
Cool.
So yeah.
So, yeah. This is bad to say to a screenwriter because now I'm just thinking, oh, I have ideas.
I'd love to do some sort of an artistic adaptation too.
Yep.
We're still trying to get that phone line going.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good description. I knew some words and some names, but not everyone.
I tried to not go into specifics with names besides Jaster. He was basically, you know, Jango Fett.
No.
The blue guy, the blue Mandalorian.
Blue Silver from Attack of
okay.
the Clones.
Okay,
From
The one
episode
that
2.
Mace Windu decapitated.
gotcha.
His father.
Oh, okay.
His adopted father.
Okay, now I have a visual. Thank you.
Like, think of a little kid Tamara Morrison.
Okay.
So, Daniel Logan.
Yeah, basically.
Like little kid Boba.
Yeah.
Django looked exactly like, because he's a clone.
He's a clone.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm actually into that.
Yeah.
I'm into that idea.
I did put a little bit of thought into this, you know.
Yeah, just a little bit. You did a little bit of research to the extent that you knew most of Mandalorian history.
You know, prehistory.
So with that said, yeah, because mine is also Star Wars, because we didn't do the best job at communication with this.
Well,
I'll be completely honest. So since we both did Star Wars things, we're going to take a little break from Star Wars and we're going to move on to Lexi's OC.
Yes. So,
Please
like I
tell us.
previously said, my favorite world building is One Piece. So I decided to create a character from One Piece. Asher D. Ravenna, who was born in the East Blue and is now traveling the seas with her crew in the New World. The world is basically split into 4 places: the East Blue, the West Blue, the North Blue, and the South Blue. And the world is run by the world government. And the Celestial Dragons have the highest authority within the world government organization.
Mm-hmm.
The Celestial Dragons are descendants of the founders of the world government. So basically, they can do whatever they please with no consequences. They can kill people if they feel like it. If they walk into kingdoms and the king and the queens don't bow down, they have the authority to summon a marine admiral to come and basically slaughter everyone. It's very interesting how they're allowed to do basically anything they want to. But one of the main things that they do is have slaves, which is publicly abolished and illegal, made by or ordered by the world government. However, because the world nobles, or the celestial dragons, have such privileges, the world government just overlooks it, and the world nobles just have slaves out in broad daylight, and nobody can say a thing about it. So basically, my character, Asher D. Ravania, grew up in the East Blue with a village called Scarlet, and she grew up with her older brother who took care of her, no parents, and at the age of 5 was sold to these celestial dragons as a peace offering because the celestial dragons attacked their village. So her older brother sold her to the celestial dragons, and she became one of their slaves. So she was a slave until she was about 14 years old, and she had a chance to escape, and she escaped into a forest where an old man found her and helped her to hide, and basically they lived in a cave for a little bit, and whilst hiding from everyone, she came across a strange fruit, which is called a devil fruit, and she ate it by accident, not knowing what it was. And devil fruits are basically
Does that happen a lot?
what?
Accidentally eating the devil fruit?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The main character Luffy ate it at the age of 5 by accident because he was annoyed and hungry. And
Sounds like something I do.
Yeah.
yeah, but basically she ate it and developed superhuman abilities. So devil fruits are like scattered throughout the world, and it's very rare to come across them. Even though a lot of characters in One Piece do have devil fruits, it's only because they like either sought it out, bought it from the black market, or like killed people for it.
And the devil fruits like give you superpowers or something like that?
Yes. So devil fruits, no one knows the origin of what a devil fruit is or where they came from. They just like are in the world and about the countries and the oceans and everything like that. But basically, they give the eater superhuman abilities permanently, but it also permanently gives them the inability to swim. So if one was thrown into the ocean, they would immediately start to drown until someone saved them.
And this is a pirate universe.
Yes. So it's very interesting to see like all of these characters with devil fruits not drown all the time from being in the ocean. But yeah, so my character Asher has a devil fruit, which I kind of saw on a Reddit forum, but basically just like tweaked it a little bit and turned it into my own.
Yeah.
So it's called the Aku Aku fruit. And basically, Aku is short for Akuma, which means demon in Japanese.
I'm thinking Samurai Jack because the main villain.
Yeah, that's all I'm thinking of right now.
The dark demon Aku.
Yeah. But yeah, so Akuma in Japanese means demon, so she basically has a demon fruit. So
Extra demon.
extra demon, yes. But yeah, so Asher is the captain of the Hellfire Pirates, and she has 12 crewmates. Her first mate and her best friend is Kei Adori, who keeps her in line and in check when she is just being aloof and not being right in the mind when they enter new countries. Basically, Asher will destroy anything that annoys her, in the sense that if she sees someone doing wrong to someone else, she will not hesitate to retaliate and destroy that person.
I like this girl.
Yes, so do I. Thank you.
It's powerful.
But yeah, so basically, she has a devil fruit, but she also has knowledge and abilities called Haki. And Haki is a feat that not everyone in One Piece has, but they can learn to have it. So there's 3 types of it. There's observation Haki, which basically lets you like predict your opponent's moves and see what they're gonna do and stuff like that. And then there's armament Haki, which basically like solidifies your skin. So it's kind of like metal on your body. It like hardens your skin in any like your leg or your arm. Like you get to choose like where you want it to be. There's certain people in One Piece that have acquired full body armament hockey, which is very difficult to do. Um, but yeah, so Asher only has those two. And then there's something called Conqueror's hockey, which is super rare to have. But basically, if you are trained enough with it, you can basically knock out like 50,000 opponents at one time just by like a blink of your eye.
But you're forgetting the fourth, Wana Hakaluki.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, but basically, Asher only has those two. And so as she ate the devil fruit, she was only 14 when she ate it. And over 4 years, that old man helped her train how to learn how to handle her devil fruit powers and to also learn the hockey abilities. So after those 4 years, she set off and started to gather crewmates. Her initial intention is to get revenge for herself for being sold to the Celestial Dragons. So she wants to take down the world government and the Celestial Dragons at any cost. So she affiliated herself with the Revolutionary Army, which is one of the main worries of the world government. Their leader is such a mystery that we still know basically nothing about him to this day. After 1,000+ chapters and 1,000+ episodes, still know basically nothing about the guy. But they help each other out when they need it, and she, excuse me, she basically will help them like collect information or will attack specific organizations to help overthrow the world government and the Celestial Dragons. But yeah, so basically, she is the type of person to, like, when you first see her, you're probably like, oh, she's a hard ass, like she's heartless. But it's actually the complete opposite, where she's a big softie, and she cares for her friends and she cares for people that care about other people. So whenever she sees someone doing something wrong, she doesn't hesitate to stop them or take retaliation in any way, shape, or form. Excuse me. But yeah, so some of her abilities include the hockey that I previously stated, but also her devil fruit abilities. Sorry, this is going to be a long list of things. But
no, speak, please.
So basically, the devil fruit that she has is a mythical zone type of fruit, which allows the eater to turn into a mythical creature. So there's like dragons, there's phoenixes. So she has the demon fruit. So basically, she transforms into a demon. At her base form, she's about 6'2", like in height. In her demon form, she goes and grows to about 20 feet.
Oh.
And her skin turns hard, and it's covered in like rock-like scales that kind of look like burnt coal.
Is it kind of like Titan hardening?
Yeah, a little bit.
In Attack on Titan, the characters have like some of them have like extra skin abilities.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that.
Armadilloing.
Actually, yeah, basically. But yeah, so she kind of has that type of skin from like Attack on Titan. And then she also has like horns, fangs, wings that are kind of like torn and tattered, but like she can still kind of use them to fly. And basically she has like abilities like regeneration, enhanced close range, mid range, and long range attacks, being fire manipulation. She can produce fire from her hands or her body and manipulate it. Her horns can store what she calls hellfire and target a specific area and will create blast explosions, basically destroying the whole area.
Cool. Wow.
And she can sometimes use her fire, like her hellfire, to teleport somewhere else if she's not in the use of her, like using her wings. So like she'll use her flames to teleport her. She can only go short distances, which is like a limitation that she has.
Sort of like Nightcrawler in that way.
A little bit, yeah. So like
short range teleportation.
yeah, so like places that she like sees at the moment. You know, she can't like go through walls or something like that. Like she has to be in vision of like where that place is. Like other limitations that she has is that her flames can be extinguished by water users or water in general.
Goddamn Pokemon
I
rules.
was gonna say
Yeah.
as a Charmander level
Yeah.
weakness.
But yeah, so she can be extinguished, which can eventually cause her to be exhausted, and sometimes if she can't recharge her fire enough, she can get like really sick, and can't go into the form for a couple of minutes, or depending on how she's already wounded, it's for a couple of days. So like that's some of the limitations that she has with it. But otherwise, like she's a beast. She is not afraid to like bite a person's head off or tear them to shreds, basically.
She's not afraid to Ozzy Osbourne someone.
Exactly.
That's a good one. I don't know how Ozzy's still alive.
I don't know.
That man has
Sheer
Neanderthal,
willpower.
Neanderthal blood. Actually, I think
Yeah.
that's one of his things.
I feel like his wife just like keeps him afloat. Kind of is like Weekend at Bernie's type of thing. Like he might be dead. Who knows?
He gets like the doily treatment.
I forget what movie it was, but I'm thinking of like a horror movie where the twist was some guy was dead and his wife was like literally puppeting his corpse in a wheelchair through like an actual pulley system in his back, moving his mouth.
What?
Yes, this is an actual movie. I forget the name of it though.
What's the Prince of Britain's name? Prince Harry?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Prince Harry.
No, at this point it's
That
just
dude's on
the
a gurney.
queen.
That dude's on a gurney.
No, at this point it's just the queen.
Oh, that's William. You're thinking of William.
Is William the old one that looks like?
William's the older one, and Harry's the one.
I'm pretty sure I saw him
I
at the
think
Motor
that's like
Museum
the
once.
redhead.
Harry's the one that's in a lot of trouble.
Harry's the
Yeah.
ginger, the soldier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Much better than his brother. So yeah.
They're
Don't
all
kill
weak.
me, Elizabeth. Thank
They're
you.
all weird. What's she gonna do?
They're British.
She
What are you
got
gonna
tea
do?
and crumpets you. In the war, they tea and crumpeted their enemies. Sorry.
So
I just get stamped.
Didn't mean to sidetrack with the Aussie track, you know.
no, technically I sidetracked with the Aussie track.
We Aussied. We're
We
sorry.
Aussied.
We're
We
sorry.
Aussied,
We, sorry. We Aussied your
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, 'cause
It's an Osborne
it
illness.
makes
Yeah.
sense to like refer to her as that.
The disease is Osborne.
But yeah, so that's basically like her abilities and everything and her limitations.
That's really cool, though.
And then like her goal is just basically to take down the world government at any cost.
Ensure justice through anarchist means.
Absolutely.
Same.
Yeah. She already has a bounty of about 250 million, which is pretty high up in bounty wise with the known characters.
I was about to say something really political, but I don't know if that would fly here.
The bounty?
Yeah, the bounty.
I mean, I just described
Should
the
I just
culture.
should I just say it?
Sure.
Sure, why not?
Putin doesn't even have a bounty that high
I
on
was
his
gonna
head.
He
what's
should.
what's the currency in One Piece? Is it gold?
It's berries.
Berries?
So she has like 250 million berries
That's
as
like-
a bounty.
That's like a cajillion orchards. Is it
Blueberry?
orchard or orchard when it comes to
I
like...
think it's orchard.
I don't think
orchard?
it's not actual berries. It's money. It's just called berries.
Is doubloon short for berries? Like
No.
doubloon.
No.
Doubloons is short for doubloons.
No,
I'm thinking pirate language. Sorry.
no, you're good. But I did forget to mention something that
Yeah.
her nickname or her epithet or however you say that,
Her alias.
her alias, is the Dark Angel, and she wears like a long black coat with gold stitching all over it and a gold stitching of angel in the back.
Sort of
Basically,
like Daryl's coat in Walking Dead. Sort of like Daryl's jacket. He has
Kind
the
of.
angel wings.
yeah, kind of. But it's basically just like the word angel stitched in the back. And it's funny to her and her friends for knowing it because like she's considered the Dark Angel for being like a demon, but she calls herself Angel.
So more like Harley Quinn has Daddy's Little Monster on the back of her jacket.
Yes, correct. Basically like that. So yeah, so that's
pretty
yeah.
badass.
yeah, so that's Asher D. Ravania for you guys.
Yeah. Like Dalton, do you know anything about One Piece?
Not really. I'm pretty weak on knowledge about it. It's probably one of my big, like, I want to see it, though. More than Naruto. I don't want to see Naruto that much, because knowing Avatar beats it in its own game in a shorter span, I would be more excited to, like, binge the entirety of One Piece.
I was turned off of Naruto through a mutual friend of ours who obsessed over it.
And, like, kind of, yeah.
I think they're both pretty good. I mean,
Does it pick up? Like, does it kind of build momentum?
what, One Piece?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, there are fillers in it. Just like there's fillers in anything.
I was gonna say, I managed to get through the entirety of Super, like, in a month. So
Really?
that was I had a lot of free time at that point. I think, like, just not a lot of responsibility.
Pretty sure the movie's coming out soon.
Superheroes.
Superheroes. I'm
Dragon
pretty
Ball
sure the trailer came out
Super
too.
super. It's like, no, it's just superhero. No, it's Dragon Ball Superhero.
Super.
You already didn't learn your lesson with Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan.
But I do like that in the trailer. Broly's back. Broly's back.
Yeah.
Yes.
As a
It's a Dragon Ball thing. You don't understand.
I know. You tried to get me into Dragon Ball when we were younger.
We'll eventually culture each other.
You were freaked out by how muscular the people in it were.
It was creepy.
As a segue, I'm going to attempt something. Can you hand me the world cable?
The world cable is
because we are trying to get someone very eager, and we are very eager to get them on. That is not the.
That's not the world cable. Where is the world cable? Is it this one?
And then turn on the world.
Turning on the world. If I can find the world. Oh, I found the world.
Not yet, just don't
okay, I just turned on the world. I haven't turned it up.
Just one moment.
Yes. We will get things started right away before I go into my long.
We're buffering the buffer. We're buffering the buffer.
Exactly.
Can you hear me? You're eager to be on?
You're eager to be on.
Let's just get this plugged in.
All right.
Guys, argue if a hot dog is a sandwich or not while I'm doing this.
Is a hot dog a sandwich? I mean,
turn up the world.
I mean,
I think it is.
All right, speak.
It would be, but it could also kind of.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Ooh, we got someone.
That sounds a lot cleaner than the actual phone.
Yeah.
Can you hear us live? There might be a slight delay with the stream.
Speak, woman.
Is it connected?
Is it? Like.
Just double check. All right, start speaking.
I don't think the world is working.
We just heard her, didn't we?
We just heard her like very clearly.
Hello.
There we go.
Okay, we heard someone.
Can you hear us? Turn up the world. Just push
The world is very turned up.
Keep turning it. Just keep moving it.
All right.
I'm hearing it.
Hello.
I'm
As
hearing
long as
someone.
as long as you move that scroll, just see if it keeps working.
Hello. Just keep talking over the phone.
Our special guest.
Hello.
Oop,
Real Records.
we got someone.
Hello, special guest.
Hello.
My older sister, Courtney. Thank you for being on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so sorry. It was me. I'm the technical difficulties. I bring the radio ghost.
No.
Ironic, since you are the ghost of radio past to me, because I would not be on the radio if it weren't for you.
I
Just
think
a shout out.
I think we can all.
I think the ghost of Rami is currently possessing me because I'm going on a different radio station.
That's funny.
But
joke.
I love you guys' conversation involving all of these OCs. It's a delight to hear. I mean, it's really nice to hear you guys really flex your creative muscles. And I really wanted to chime in, tap in, just because I feel so bad for Lexi. Lexi, I love One Piece.
Oh,
it's a
thank
delight.
you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
She reminds me, like, her attitude reminds me a lot of Robin.
Yes.
I don't remember the fruit that Robin ate, but basically this woman can just summon hands.
Thank you.
Just hands.
Thank
so
you.
glad this works.
I'm so glad
Yes.
that you know what I was talking about. I feel so good.
Don't worry. Your notions did not fall on deaf ears. And I mean, so there's like some really interesting things about OCs. And I know, Billy, you're a screenwriter, and Dalton, as long as I've known Dalton, you were one of those kids who daydreamed out car windows, like just imagine, like you put your earbuds in.
Man,
and you just
in the backseat, earbuds
I
on.
am here to out Dalton and all of his daydream habits.
It's called maladaptive daydreaming, and it's beautiful. And I have so many ideas that I need to get. I need to get these ideas out, dude. This is what pushes me, dude.
No, I absolutely believe it. I mean, this is like a really great way to kind of go around, but also I think this is just something I was thinking of as I'm listening to you guys, building on existing universes, and this is just me coming from my nerd perspective. Dungeons and Dragons actually is a wonderful spot to kind of start roaming around with these already existing tools and create these really interesting characters. Or like, the good thing about it is because dice are such a really important part of Dungeons and Dragons, you can just randomly make up characters. It's super cool, to be honest.
I'm really glad that you mentioned that, because that's basically how I did her transformations, was basically just like rolling dice and figuring out like random things to like put into her.
It builds the arc.
It really does.
And like how to make that work with these already existing tools. I mean, you can do like Dungeons and Dragons builds for all different worlds, and I just think that it's really neat. Like, I especially like to look at certain new, like, I mean, everybody knows that Dungeons and Dragons has a huge basis in like Tolkien and Lord of the Rings mythos.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because nowadays Wizards of the Coast has extended their universe to be like, you can have Rick and Morty characters just in, I'm not saying it's a good thing, I just know that my DM has them available, and I always make fun of him for it every single time I see some Rick and Morty.
They actually have a Rick and Morty D&D game that you can play.
Yeah, and I think that that's like in a really, I think because of the internet and because of this, like, I feel like OC, like, it's this really big, like, tie-in as to like what exactly does OC mean. I was talking to Dalton about this earlier.
You want to talk about what you brought up that made so much sense, especially for self-inserts too?
Yeah, because you were just like, oh, we're going to be talking about our self-inserts, and I'm like, your self-inserts? And I was trying to follow the line, because technically Luke Skywalker is just an OC. Original character just means a character of your own design. So it's really interesting to see you guys kind of tinker around with these really big ideas and figure out, where you could kind of start these jumping off points. I mean, I'm bringing in media of otherwise, but like, if you look at it, Twilight is just fanfic.
Oh no.
Oh my God.
There, like, no, for real. Like, it's interesting because these are even to like it or not, those are highly successful media franchises.
True.
Another one that you were telling me too is video game custom character builders.
Oh yeah.
My Red Dead Redemption character online, I somehow made him look dead identical to myself, and I decked him out fashionably how I want to look in that cowboy universe.
You bought a poncho just so you could look like your Red Dead character. Like imitate art, I believe is what they call that.
My life imitates my art because it's mine. But also the line that me and Billy drew to explain, like, Ahsoka was an OC that was brought to an existing universe, and which clone is Dave Filoni's self-insert?
The character of Wolf, who is like Plo Koon's like right-hand man.
And he's Dave Filoni imposing his personality and how he would interact
with his favorite Jedi in Star Wars.
And Ahsoka, he had set up before he was really directing Clone Wars. Like, she was his custom, like, not custom character, his personal like character he wants to add to this universe. And now she's an official character. She went from original like character not actually in canonically, and then she was made canon, like
now to one of the main players of the whole universe.
Yeah, she became a main player from someone's personal. Oh, I really like this character, and I really want to bring them up to. Oh, what? They're a character now. They're like up here with the greats.
See, this is like one of my like favorite things about OCs, because initially, like when you're in high school and you go through that emo phase, because we're all nerds here. We've all been through that emo phase in high school.
Nerds.
When you're making OCs in high school, you're initially just like laughed off like a little bit as just being said, "Oh, that's really cute." Like no one takes you really seriously.
They're just jealous.
But
But
what no one really realizes is that most of the media nowadays is OCs based on actual already existing properties.
And the already existing properties were renditions of an already existing property. Like,
exactly.
It's an interpretation of an interpretation of an original idea from an interpretation.
OCs are just building on franchises.
media does not exist in a vacuum. I mean, there
At
it
all.
sucks to say sometimes, just because you want to feel like, especially I feel like this is actually a really big dilemma for a lot of writers, is they come into this idea that they want to create something incredibly original and they want to create something never done before. I know I constantly run into this, but reference is the key to building. I mean, I think it's Stephen King who said, if you want to be a great writer, you have to be a great reader. You have to take in something and just decide what works, what doesn't, why does it work, and figure out how you can implement these ideas. I've been working on a comic lately, and I find myself like, stumbling into these similarities. And unfortunately for me, the similarity that I constantly keep stumbling into is Kingdom Hearts. And if you know anything about
Ooh.
That's
Kingdom Hearts,
hard.
you
That's
don't want
difficult.
to base your story off of it, but some of the meaning in it and that derivative nostalgia is so significant that it impacted a whole generation's childhood, to be so connected to this very convoluted game that is based way too much of its story into a mobile game, and that a lot of people didn't play because it was only available in Japan. But it's fine. It's fine. I'm fine.
And then you
Kingdom
get
Hearts fans, we're
the
fine.
poorly translated one in like bare bones English when you try to like port it over on an American copy.
It's a lot, but regardless, I think it's actually really important to analyze it. I mean, the Bible has tons of fanfic about it, honestly. Like
I mean, Dante's
one of
Inferno, the thing that's kind of canon at this point.
I'm
Dante's Inferno, Devilman Crybaby, the entirety of Evangelion. I'm referencing mostly anime because I don't consume media.
The Bible is my favorite manga. I mean,
Truly, even if you look
there's
into
actually a
like,
Jesus Buddha anime
There
manga.
is.
really.
Yes, it's
The
great.
Saint
It's
Dumbass.
a
super
slice of
good.
life.
Yeah, I have
It's so good.
I have the manga.
It's very good. But yeah, no, it's interesting. And then you can also decide, that's also where things like satire come from. How do you flip something on its head? It's all derivative, and it's an interesting feat to take on, as to like, where do these lines get drawn. I know you guys made your own lines for the show, and understandably so. Like I said, it's a very big feat to take on. But I just want to mention this, another one of my favorite personal genres of OC is the fan send-ins. I'm thinking specifically, I was the one who mentioned BMO, so Adventure Time's Meow, which is an assassin, was actually sent in by a 5-year-old
I
girl.
remember that.
Yeah.
It was a pencil sketch, and they were like, I want
Yeah.
my character, like, I really want my character to be in the show. And
Storyboarded the whole episode. They did a little comic, and it became an episode, and that character comes back.
it's so adorable too, because it's like, man, that's like better than winning a sweepstakes.
I
And
got
that's not the only example of a fan send in. These things like really keep going when people like hear these ideas and make something out of it.
one of the fan send-ins that I am most aware of that I do think give fan send-ins a bad name is there was one Doctor Who episode called Love and Monsters. The big villain of that was called the Absorbaloff, and it was the most ridiculous looking monster in like all of Doctor Who's history. And the big excuse was that it was based off of a child's design. And they tried to make that as the excuse to sort of soften the blow, but it's just not a good monster. That's the big thing. It's you're sort of like gambling when you're doing fan send-ins.
It might be underutilized. It might be misinterpreted. Like,
Exactly.
because I think even if you ask them what the sketch is actually supposed to look like, and then they like have someone else interpret it, and then they, the kid checks with the artist, like, yeah, this is what I was trying to do. My lines were just a little shaky. But yeah, there can be mistranslations, but there can be really like beautiful outcomes from it
Exactly.
too. Gordo, did you want to tell us your favorite either self-insert or OC you've crafted?
Yeah.
That you
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, most of my self inserts are relatively visual. I don't really come up with like very intense storylines.
She showed me
behind
some
it.
amazing art. She showed me some of
Yeah.
her amazing like
So
work so far.
for this for the simple fact of just like, I am definitely my escape and my like place to be is visual art. I do love writing, and I definitely have plenty of OC like original content, like complete works that I have done. But the closest thing that I can think of to like a universe OC, and this one's kind of a weird call in, is Lupin the Third. is
Oh, I've heard of that.
Interesting.
okay, cool. Yeah. So Lupin the Third, for those who don't know, is a manga anime, very, very iconic,
And a
old
movie?
1960s. It has a lot of different movies, many, many movies. Um, Lupin the Third is a thief, an international thief, and he works with the gunman Jigen, and he works with the samurai Goemon, and he's constantly being chased down by Zenigata, the police commissioner of Japan. It's very, very charming, and I've been endeared by it since like 8th grade. Um, and when I was younger, I actually basically wrote fan fiction of Lupin the Third with my
Yes.
own gang of. But I switched it over and I made them bootleggers. They were bootleggers and thieves because I was obsessed with the 20s, like any well-adjusted high school freshman. And
We all have our
Yeah.
history buffing.
I came up with like a whole gang. I believe the lead gang member was Johnny Lead.
That's fitting though, like
And
universe-wise.
yeah, and I mean, honestly, most of my derivatives, I am obsessed with characters that don't show their eyes. I don't know why. I just think it's a very interesting style choice.
It makes them more
Like,
mysterious.
it does. It makes them more mysterious.
They
and
always
the thing
smirk.
about-
They always got a
The thing
smirk
about
going.
the sharpshooter Jigen from Lupin the Third is he does not have his eyes visible all the time. He usually wears like a fedora and his bangs come down in this very 1970s
Noir.
shaggy haircut kind of way. Noir, but not quite because I don't know. They're a little more goofy than noir, but yeah,
Also, Teen
Johnny
Titans
Lead-
Robin never showed his eyes. Even when he took
Yeah,
the mask
yeah,
off, he had a
too.
mask under it.
Yeah, Johnny Lead was basically a Jigen rip. He wasn't very well crafted, so I think it's actually like really interesting to see where your ideas originally come from. Because I mean, you know, you try your best when you're young, especially to kind of tinker around and find original content. But you always sometimes you wind up accidentally stumbling into making clones, and I mean. That's another line to also be thinking about when crafting a character. Where does originality begin? You were referencing earlier in the show, Dalton, that your character is kind of the Obi-Wan of Mandalorians. And I think that that's a really interesting concept only because of how different approaches to being, careful, kind of gray characters are.
Mhm.
And it's there's enough difference. It's almost like you have to look into your own copyright of just like, where does the line draw? Is this too similar to this person or this person?
Or am
So
I in that
it's-
originality gray area where it's just
Yeah, and of
manipulated
course-
enough, like the remix? Make sure the
Yeah,
remix isn't
the
like
remix,
Shazamable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like, it's one thing that's kind of fun to think about. It's just like the days of yore when you're writing fanfic and you can literally just lift the whole character for fun. But I have drawn a decent amount of fan fiction I did a lot of self-insert, like I call it, like it's a whole series of pictures. My favorite one that I did was a Kirby self-insert.
It was
that I
adorable.
did
Just a heads up.
where there's a painter in Kirby. I don't remember their name because honestly, Kirby lore, something else. But I kind of just wanted to be a seamstress in the universe was my idea. And I'm best friends with Kirby. I am.
Mhm.
No one else. That's the whole character. So I mean, you can get really deep with these characters, or you could just kind of be like really shallow and surface level. Just
I'm the main character's best friend. Like,
Yeah.
this is what I would look like if I was in this universe. And I think that's honestly the fun of these areas, to kind of just walk around it. And sometimes you can come up with these really intense ideas, and other times you're just Kirby's best friend. Me. I am. No one else. We share a birthday. We are birthday friends.
So, like, this was actually a really good discussion.
this is really
Yeah.
great, honestly.
Thank you so much for calling in, Court.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. I'll be listening in. I appreciate it.
Sorry it
Yeah.
took a minute to boot up the call.
Don't worry about it. That's the one rule of radio. If something bad happens, don't acknowledge it.
It's the remix. I did it on purpose. It was part of the track.
remix.
Yes.
I dropped the pin. I dropped the
You
track. I
dropped
dropped my
the
phone. It's
part of-
cracked.
Hot
bars. Hot bars.
I'm telling mom. Bye.
Spitting.
Bye. Bye,
Thank you
Court.
so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yep.
That was
Well,
great.
yeah, that was
This
actually
was
really
great.
good.
I love that she understood where I was referencing my
Yeah,
character.
You felt validated.
I did. I
You
felt
should have
very
seen my
validated.
notifications. You should have seen. She's just like, I need to talk about this. I need to bring this up. Don't let her burn out that conversation piece.
Exactly.
Billy, I know you've been sithering,
Finally.
seething to get your word in.
I got mine all set up.
This
So
should be very interesting.
Free reign, dude. Come
yes,
on.
I made this very descriptive. I did like a full-on Wikipedia article based on my character.
Oh boy.
My character's name is Willing Lahun.
Willing
Lahun.
Lahun.
And he was a human male born 46 BBY. And BBY is before the Battle of Yavin, which was the destruction of the first Death Star.
Oh, okay.
Why is Star Wars time before the Battle of Yavin? I
Who
have
knows?
no idea.
It's Yavin.
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 It's Battle of Yavin. He was born to slaves on the gambling world of Ord Mantell, ran by the crime syndicate of the Black Sun. When he was very young, like 3 months after his parents' enslavement, 3 Jedi came to Ord Mantell. There was Jedi Master Dooku, there was newly appointed Jedi Knight Plo Koon, and an Exploration Corps member, Nandor Woko, who is an Ithorian, which is basically like the hammerhead sort of aliens that you sort of see. They have no mouth. They have really long necks.
It's like
Okay.
curved forward and up
exactly.
from the side.
Gotcha.
Exactly. And when they came to try to induct the child, the Black Sun refused them entry because they wanted to use the child as their own sort of enforcer. They wanted to raise the child in a very Jedi mannerism, but use them for their own cartel ways. So Dooku sort of basically declared a war on the Black Sun for just that one day. And even though the Black Sun had an entire army around the city, just the 3 Jedi poked a hole straight through into the city center, taking down half of the army, only taking a few scratches. So the Black Sun called a ceasefire, and the Black Sun High Council said, you know what? Stop firing, stop fighting, let the Jedi do what they want. We're going to lose our entire forces this way. So the Jedi took the child, and before they were able to take him to the Jedi Temple, the mother just had one thing to say, one thing to part ways with Dooku. She just said, protect him.
Okay.
It's cold.
Exactly. Because that's the all you can say when you're living in a world of slavery, and someone as like high up as a Jedi says, I will take your child and I will teach him to protect himself.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you can ask. So for the next 13 years, he would grow up as a Jedi initiate in the Jedi Temple of Coruscant. I actually looked up because I wanted to get in detail about this. He would be placed into one of the 10 clans of the Jedi younglings in the Jedi Temple. He would be placed into the I don't know how to say this, Brugufta clan of the Loyalty, with 9 other Jedi younglings of his generation. He would be known as a very jack-of-all-trades sort of youngling, sort of taking a much interest in pretty much everything involving the Jedi. Mm-hmm. Lightsaber combat, meditation, force abilities, and eventually, after completing his initiate trials, he would take part in the tournament for every single Jedi Knight, every single Jedi Master. He would take part in a tournament between the Jedi younglings of his generation to try to prove to a new Jedi Master to take them as their Padawan. Even though he ended up on the lower end of the spectrum of the tournament, and he was sure he would be placed in another different corps member of the Jedi Temple, like the Exploration Corps or the Educational Corps, there was a Jedi Master who he confided in with his doubts and his disapproval of himself. There was a Jedi Master who said, you know what? I will teach you the ways of the Force, and I will guide you to knighthood. This Jedi Master was the diplomat Shaak Ti, who...
I knew it.
Yep.
You
yep.
had me call this.
I do love Shaak Ti. I mean, she is one of the best Jedi.
Our
You
listeners
can agree.
know from
Yes.
our top 10 Jedi episode, Billy.
Yep. If you said that you would take Mace Windu as your Jedi Master, I would take Shakti in a heartbeat.
I saw this coming. Well, I heard this coming.
Exactly.
And for all of our loyal listeners, thanks
Why-
for catching this as fast as I did.
And early on in his apprenticeship, she would take him back to Ord Mantell for him to get to know his past, get to understand, and sort of get some closure into his past. There he would find that his parents died months after he was taken to the Jedi Temple. And after just sort of like consoling with himself, sort of understanding and sort of coming to terms with that, Shakti reveals that they actually came there so that she could grab parts for a Jedi lightsaber. They would go to Ilum, where he would get his own Kyber crystal, and he would combine Ord Mantell pieces with the Jedi crystal to create his own standard hilt green-bladed lightsaber. And as he would be refining his skills over the next 10 years through diplomatic means and through meditative means, he would also refine his skills with a lightsaber, becoming highly proficient in Form 6 of the 7 lightsaber forms known as Niman. Form 6 was sort of a very jack-of-all-trades sort of lightsaber form, much like he was. It took parts from every single previous form of lightsaber combat while combining them all in moderation with Force abilities. He would not only refine this sort of form into its own sort of blend of each lightsaber technique in just one sort of attack and multiple different attack sequences, just using multiple different lightsaber techniques. He would actually get so refined and would grow to have such a personal style of Form 6 that he would actually gain the attention of Jedi Battlemaster Sindralig, and he would actually help teach the Battlemaster to help instruct him in multiple different classes where he would teach Jedi younglings the ways of Form 6 and the ways of the previous 5 forms. And then we get to I don't know if Dalton knows this, the importance of this. We get to 22 BBY, where
22 BBY?
Yep.
Is that right after a certain order?
Nope.
Is that before or after it?
Before it.
Is it during episode? Is it pre or post episode 3?
The Jedi High Council would receive a message from Obi-Wan Kenobi on Geonosis, saying that there is a droid factory and a droid army being assembled by the new Separatist Alliance.
After he chased a certain bounty hunter.
Yep.
On Geonosis.
Along with 200 other Jedi, Shakti and Willing Lahun would go to Geonosis to try to save Obi-Wan and the newly captured Anakin Skywalker and Senator Padme Amidala.
Okay.
When arriving in the arena, the entire assault team would be ambushed by the droid army. Of the 200 Jedi that went to Geonosis, only about 30 came back.
Wow.
One of those were Shakti. 2 of those were Shakti and Lahun. Lahun would have a lot of difficulty trying to dodge, deflect, and just block constant blaster bolts, and he would even receive a couple blaster bolts because of just the difficulty, and he would receive the blaster bolts in very sort of non-lethal areas of the body.
Like wingdings.
Exactly.
Scrapes the shoulder, scrapes the shin.
Exactly.
Non-vital spots.
Exactly. And when all the Jedi were completely cornered, all the survivors were completely cornered in the center of the arena, they thought they were dead for sure, when suddenly, the clones arrive.
On the gunships?
The clones arrive on the gunships. The secret clone army assembled on the secret world of Kamino to help out the Jedi and save them. But while Lahun was going to join his master and multiple other Jedi on one of the gunships to retreat, he sensed a Jedi in the battlefield, still alive but severely injured. Jedi Padawan Barriss Offee. He would sense that she was still alive on the battlefield, and along with a clone commander, they would both go out against the orders of the remaining Elder Jedi that were in the gunship. They would go out, save Barriss Offee, and come back to the gunship without a scratch on either of them. And when the Clone War began, because of both his bravery and just the fact that the Jedi Council just really needed generals on the front lines as much as possible, they would knight Willing Lahun, and he would become the general of the 144th Legion, alongside the commander who helped save Barriss Offee with him, Commander Ward. And he would just go on to fight battle after battle in the Clone Wars, eventually going to the Battle of Coruscant, where he would take control of a Lucrehulk battleship, taking control of the droid control ship alongside an entire platoon of clones, turning every single droid that Lucrehulk controlled against the Confederacy. And shortly after that, they would go on to take down the last vital droid factory of the Separatist Alliance.
And this is still on Geonosis?
Nope, this is long after. This is where we come up to 19 BBY.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, just a heads up, BBY before the Battle of Yavin, up until the Battle of Yavin, which is right at the cusp of the original trilogy. Just so
this was right at
knows.
the very end of the first movie. That is the very end of the first movie. That is 0 BBY.
All right. Just so everyone understands, like, the context of years behind. The end of A New Hope is 0 BBY.
Exactly.
And it's like BC and AD. Like, it goes backwards.
Okay.
Just so everyone knows. Just as a...
Yeah.
I got it now.
And
Thank you.
after taking down the last vital droid factory on Hypori, Lahun would get a severe migraine, sensing a disturbance in the Force. On his Venator-class Star Destroyer, his flagship, he would run into a small team of clones, and before he could say anything, they would turn and fire on him. He would block and deflect their blaster bolts, but with complete confusion, especially after the entire ship goes on red alert.
This is the 442nd Legion, the green.
The 144th.
What color are they?
Black.
Oh, I'm thinking of the 442nd. My apologies.
I made them up.
Oh, okay.
So after this, Lahun knew he had to escape. He had to get off. So taking down as many clones as he possibly could to get to the hangar, he would escape using an attack shuttle. And going to the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, he would see nothing but dead Jedi around him being slaughtered constantly by blue-marked clones, and the Jedi Temple burning down around him. In the Jedi Temple, just trying to look for any sort of survivor, any sort of hope, he would come across a young Zabrak youngling. And the Zabraks, for those of you who don't know, are basically just Darth Maul species. They have the horns. They're very
They have the spider pattern
aggressive.
across their face.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Some are red, some are yellow.
He would come across the young Zabrak girl, Karis Zaida, and trying to defend her from 3 different Jedi security guards who turned against the Jedi during Order 66. He would go on to kill 2 of them to protect her and get separated from one of them via an explosion. He would take the girl and try to save her, but also running to his master's quarters. He would enter Shaak Ti's quarters to see her dead on the ground with a cauterized wound, with a cauterized hole in her chest. Wow. Yeah.
That's...
For those of you who don't know, Anakin Skywalker killed Shaak Ti.
Yeah, if it's cauterized, it's a lightsaber wound because it closes instantly due to the heat.
Right.
Yep. So taking the Jedi Master's body back to his shuttle, along with the new youngling, along with any sort of supplies from the Jedi training room that he could, he ran back to the shuttle. They arrived back on Ord Mantell because it's the first place he could think of, and he would conduct a funeral for Jedi Master Shaak Ti, creating a fire and burning her.
It's like Viking style. Like
Exactly.
you
You
either
see it all-
stack stones or you
Exactly. You see it all the time in Star Wars. Luke did it with Darth Vader.
Obi-Wan did it with Qui-Gon.
Exactly.
It's to Force Ghost them, to send them to the Force Ghost.
Realm.
Yeah. Sort of like
The Force Ghost plane.
The Force Ghost plane. We're just sort of like ripping off Wakanda at this point. So a couple days would pass, just Lahan trying to get over the fact that everything he's ever known is gone now.
Like everything he's ever grown with.
Yes. And he would eventually accept Karis Zaida as his own apprentice. And after combining two Jedi training lightsabers, refining them into one single double-bladed lightsaber, and he would give it to Zaida as her own lightsaber. One blade would be blue, the other blade green. And over the next couple of months, he would teach her in the ways of Niman, the very jack of all trades forms. But over the course, she would notice something very concerning about her. He would notice that she has grown an extremely adept at lightsaber combat, but has grown no interest in any sort of meditation or any philosophical meanings behind the Jedi.
That looks like a slippery slope.
Exactly. And it would only grow worse when an Inquisitor came to Ord Mantell after they were spotted by Imperial scout troopers.
I just sat up in my seat.
Yep.
I think I know where this is going. This sounds very Kanan-esque, just a little bit.
The fourth sister, which is basically one of the many Jedi during Order 66, who instead of being killed by the Jedi, who instead of being killed by the clones, instead decided to turn on the Jedi in order to survive themselves and side with the Emperor and become Jedi hunters of anyone who survived Order 66. She would arrive on Ord Mantell, where Lahan would order his apprentice to stay where she is while he handles the Inquisitor. And even though Lahan's fighting style was very defensive at the time, trying to block any sort of wave after wave after wave that the Inquisitor tried to blow on him, he would not break an inch. But Zaida didn't see it that way. Instead of seeing that he was not being fatigued in the slightest, she only saw that the Inquisitor's offense was constant barrages, constant swift attacks, constant powerful blows. She would intervene, and instead of focusing on the Jedi, the fourth sister would focus more on the Padawan. Seeing that the Padawan was wholly inexperienced, instead of Zaida becoming the very confident person that she was in the training, she would get extremely fatigued and very worried. She would see that she is completely outmatched because the Inquisitor is wholly enjoying the fight, wholly enjoying the dark side, wholly embracing the more philosophical meanings of her lightsaber combat. And instead, right before Zaida dies, Lahan saves her, and they would team up, Lahan being more defensive and Zaida being more offensive. They would team up in a tag team effort and kill the fourth sister. They would leave Ord Mantell as soon as possible because they knew the Imperials were coming. They would leave Ord Mantell, and they would go, and Zaida would learn from this. Over the next decade, the two would arrive on the planet of Ithor, where Zaida would become very refined with her mental state. She would always be the brave person that she was back then, but she was not as headstrong. She was always more humble from then on out. And instead of just constantly very confident in her lightsaber abilities, she would grow a more refined form of Form 4 Ataru, which is the acrobatics form, which focused wholly on offense, and any defensive measures were all dodge-based.
Is that what Obi-Wan has?
That is what Qui-Gon had, and that is why he lost to Darth Maul.
because he did an entire leap.
No, because he was focused so much on offense that eventually he just got tired out.
Mm-hmm.
Who was Qui-Gon?
Obi-Wan's
Liam Neeson.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
who unfortunately, spoilers, I guess, fell to Maul.
Yep.
And Maul, like,
He died.
Yeah, he cauterized him.
Yep. And while Zaida grew more mature, Lahan sort of reversed. He became far more defensive and more of a hermit nature when it came to his training of his apprentice. He would outright refuse any attempt that she would try to make to enter either the city near their camp or any entry into the ongoing start of a rebellion that was going on around them. And eventually, one night, Zaida would have a dream, a vision of a small group of soldiers being tortured on a planet called Kestal.
Kessel?
Kestal.
Is it Kestel with a T?
Yes.
I thought it was Kessel with 2 S's.
I'm pretty sure these are two planets.
Where the spice trades are?
I'm pretty sure those are 2 planets. I'm pretty sure those are 2 different planets.
Are you talking about the spice trade, though?
Nope.
Okay, different planet, sorry.
Yep. She would tell her master about this dream, and he would recognize it immediately as a Force vision. And once he told her about that, she said that, oh no, we have to go. We have to save them as soon as possible. And he outright refused to help them in any sort of way because Kestal was a very imperial sort of planet, super close to the core worlds, super close to Coruscant. If there is any place that is going to be crawling with Imperials, it would be Kestal. And 2, because Force visions are so dangerous that they only grant like a sort of tunnel vision view of the future. You have no idea whether you caused the future or whether the future is a warning or whether the future can happen. There are so many different outcomes that could happen through this tunnel vision of the future. They are too dangerous to act upon and refuses her to act out in this vision in any sort of way.
And the last time we had a Force vision that was trying to be fulfilled or stopped
Was Padme and Anakin.
Which ended with the reason that they can't go to her Force vision.
Exactly. Of course, Zaida would refuse this, going straight to the village, acquiring a shuttle, and going straight to Kessel, ignoring every single rule he had in place for her. And at first, he would be extremely annoyed. He would be furious by his apprentice that she would betray his trust in this sort of manner. But then he would remember. He would remember that in his youth, at the Battle of Geonosis, even though his bravery saved the life of Barriss Offee, he was constantly told by his superiors behind him not to do it. It was too dangerous. He would remember back to the Battle of Coruscant, where even though he had the idea to infiltrate the Lucrehulk, he was told by the admiral in charge of his flagship that it was too dangerous not to do it. He would see the bravery in himself, but he would also see the recklessness in himself. And he sees that bravery and recklessness in Zaida. And he remembered that even though he was reckless back then, he always went on the right track. Going to Kestal, Zaida would infiltrate the Imperial facility and rescue the Republic and rescue the rebellion commandos that were captured there. And as they were exiting the facility, alarms go off. They have to fight their way out of the facility. They have to kill every stormtrooper they can, and their shuttle that Zaida flew in on is destroyed by an AT-AT. You know what an AT-AT is, right? Yeah.
Big dog with the guns on its head.
Okay.
Or as Family Guy calls them, look, Jim, robot camels.
Okay, yeah, okay, got you.
4 legs, not 6 legs.
Yeah. 4 legs, not 6 legs. That's an ATTE.
ATST.
I'm a freaking nerd.
ATST.
Nope, ATTE.
No, wait.
ATST only has 2 legs.
Is that the chicken? No, wait.
The chicken.
The chicken walkers,
The chicken walkers. Those are the ATSTs.
Can we get a picture pull up just for reference?
Yeah.
ATST.
ATST is
The chicken walker.
the chicken walker, and the ATTE is the six legs.
Is it? Am I wrong? I think I'm wrong.
Yeah.
He's right.
Oh, okay.
The Clone Wars
Never
one.
question my logic.
Look. Oh, the original Battlefront had it backwards.
Exactly.
Listen.
So before the AT-AT can completely destroy all of the survivors before they even had a chance to escape, a Republic-era attack shuttle comes out of nowhere and destroys the AT-AT and lands, and Lahan steps out of the attack shuttle. After bringing every single survivor on board, before Zaida can even attempt to apologize, Lahan unsheaths his lightsaber, ignites it, and knights her right then and there. She is completely speechless. They have this quiet moment of reconciliation when suddenly they feel a bolt of pure cold coming right behind them inside the Imperial facility. They know exactly what this means. Lahan tells her to take the survivors and run. And even though they have an entire argument where she is adamant that she is either staying and they are fighting together or they are leaving together, there is no in between, he insists that he is staying and those survivors need to get back to the rebellion. It is their mission. And he insists that she leaves with them. And after arguing with her, she eventually begrudgingly accepts and steps into the shuttle. And as the shuttle starts to close its doors, he says, "May the Force be with you." And the shuttle flies off. He turns around, closes his eyes, takes a deep breath, opens his eyes, and the door is open. There, Darth Vader is standing.
Dude. Sorry, I'm getting chills. I'm getting goosebumps.
Lahan is focused on the moment. He does not care. Vader is constantly speaking to him. It could be insults, it could be threats, it could be a negotiation tactic. Lahan doesn't care. He is focused on the moment. The moment that Vader stops speaking, Lahan ignites his lightsaber, and Vader ignites his own crimson red lightsaber, and they engage in a battle. While they are it's basically an entire stalemate of a battle at this point. While Lahan is completely impervious to Vader's assaults, evading his tactics as much as possible, he can't get a hit on Vader either because of either Vader's incredibly strong armor or just the strong blocks of his lightsaber. And as this battle is going on, Zaida is just swerving in the atmosphere above the planet, evading TIE fighters and concussion missiles from Star Destroyers themselves, just completely without even a glance of sweat. Her passengers, on the other hand, are completely disoriented by just how much she is spinning around, but she is just completely impervious to any sort of distraction at the moment. And as the battle continues between Vader and Lahan, Willing starts to grow a bit more fatigued. He can't keep up the acrobatic, precise strikes any longer. He has to go into a stone-walled defense. A defense that will not hold up because of just how hard Vader's cleaves are. And eventually, once the attack shuttle is far in front of any TIE fighter, far in front of any Star Destroyer, Zaida warps off into hyperspace. That moment, Lahan feels that his apprentice is gone. She is safe from any Imperial. In that moment of relief, Vader slashes him across the stomach.
Sorry.
He stands there shocked for a moment. He falls to his knees, drops his lightsaber, smirks, and then falls to the ground. Even though he died that day, Zaida actually sent the Republic commandos to the rebel base on Yavin 4, where she would meet Bail Organa and Mon Mothma and become the first Jedi General of the rebellion. She would go on to grow to fight side by side with the Chosen One himself, Luke Skywalker, and become one of the many teachers of his new Jedi Temple.
Wow.
Even though Lahan's body died,
He won.
His legacy lived on through his apprentice, and his consciousness lived on in the Force alongside his master forever.
That's so
Vader
good.
beat him and lost.
Exactly.
And it makes sense. It makes so much sense. Dude, I can see why you had so many pages building up to this.
I had an entire story.
This is what happens when you're stuck with a writer for this long. I just know he was pulling out something big for this.
I
am so glad we did this.
This was basically, I'm trying to think. I rushed my breakfast and lunch in the first 2 hours of my day, and then spent 4 hours writing on my laptop.
Jesus.
The worst thing I did was argue with myself, or argue with a fake ignorant like dummy that I had made up in my head. Like, no, he is a Mandalorian. He's just not that kind of Mandalorian. No, those guys are Mandalorians by ethnicity, not by warrior creed. But like yours was so depthful and new. Well, like a new thing that could be told in the vein of many other like things we've seen before, but it's so much more different.
I have the worst sort of writer's block that every screenwriter and every sort of writer can identify with. It's not that I have writer's block. It's that I have the ideas all in my head. It's just that I have to get down to writing them all.
You have these like perfectly colorful blurs, and you just need to like focus them correctly.
Exactly.
Like all this energy and just needs to be focused into a single beam.
Yeah. So,
Man, and you magnified some ants with that.
mm-hmm.
You know, like you focused the beam of
Yeah, I wrote this down on a Google Doc, and I went into full-on detail that he would fight side by side with Obi-Wan Kenobi, with Anakin Skywalker, especially Anakin Skywalker, and like I meant for me to like read it off as like word for word, so that when Vader showed up, it wouldn't just be a shock that Vader was there.
Mm-hmm.
It would be heartbreaking that he would have to fight his friend.
it would be deafening silence.
Yes. It would be sort of like
Your head would feel crammed.
it would be like the Vader scene at the end of Rogue One, but instead of the music swelling and being like sort of like
It muffles and fades.
it's just sort of silent.
It's like when a grenade goes off in a war movie and everything just like you hear a faint ringing and it's muffled and all you can just see like tunnel vision,
Exactly.
but not panic, just stalemate vision.
Yeah. I would also like to clarify that I already had this sort of narrowed down because I'm planning to write an entire book based on this character. I'm like 2 chapters in.
I wanna illustrate the cover.
Yes. I have ideas. This is just one of the many Star Wars characters I had ideas for. Dalton can attest to this.
Yes.
He knows that I had an idea for an entire Mandalorian sort of trilogy
Man,
based on a Jedi Mandalorian hybrid.
sorry, I thought I could handle all that. How about you, Lexi?
I mean, this was so in depth, but like I was playing out a whole movie in my head.
I was gonna say
It was
that.
so good. Like
best-
every part about it was just so good.
Is this why everyone raves about audiobooks?
Yes.
Exactly.
Like it's just playing. Like words are going in. It's not going out the other ear. It's going into my visual sensor. Or
You
whatever.
want you want the best Star Wars movie ever made? Read or just listen to the Revenge of the Sith audio novel. It is amazing. It goes so much in depth through the characters and through just the combat more than the movies ever did.
Man.
You want to see just how evil Dooku is? He is a complete racist and no one knows it. Exactly. Revenge of the Sith, the novel, highlighted that.
You guys can see why we wanted a buffer between 2 big Star Wars stories.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like we needed that really good gap.
Yes. We ended off on a sad note.
No.
My character
deep,
died.
Deep and broad, not
Yeah.
sad.
my character dies.
But in a good way for a
Yes.
good reason.
He wins. He doesn't die, really. He wins. He beats Vader.
He beats Vader,
Mhm.
and he understands the role of a master.
Mhm.
They are what we grow beyond. That is the burden of all masters.
And that's why
Yeah.
Vader never became a Jedi Master. Just saying. Just, just saying. Oh my! Wow, that was
Yeah, we went into a lot.
That was good, dude.
just
Yeah.
a quick shout out to Cordo too for that whole in depth on like the entire subject matter.
Exactly. So, with that out of the way, make sure to follow us on our Instagram at ReelWreckers. That is REEL_RECKERS.
And our TikTok at Real Records. That's REELRECKERS to stay up to date on all our polls and for a shout out next time. And if you want to get more like interaction with us, DM the account on Instagram, DM us on TikTok, call the phone whenever you would like to, as long as we don't already have someone on the phone.
Exactly. And until then, I'm Billy,
And I'm Dalton.
and you can consider this real
Wrecked.
Oh, wait a minute. We forgot to say, thanks for coming on, Lexi.
Thanks for coming on,
Yeah.
Lexi.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
This
I'm
was a
so
blast.
I'm so sorry. We were just like
No, you're good. You're fine.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming on, Courtney. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for validating me, Courtney.
So, now that we have that out of the way, until next time, I'm Billy,
I'm Dalton.
I'm Lexi.
and you can consider this real
Wrecked.